What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Rating Climb. This time I'm doing it live, so welcome if you are lucky enough to be watching it right now. And if not, it's okay. It'll be posted on YouTube as a regular video. All right, so let's play e5. We're fighting for the center. White is attacking our pawn. I'm going to simply defend the pawn and develop a piece at the same time. And we see a Ruy Lopez. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. What I'm going to do is play something a little bit different. This is called the Cozio defense. And it's kind of a logical move in that it defends the knight. It's a little bit weird because it blocks this bishop right away. So you can't, develop this guy immediately. But the point here is that usually the knight actually just jumps around to g6. And it's kind of an interesting way to defend this pawn on e5. Because, yeah, a lot of times this does get captured. And then if we didn't have this guy over here, we would be losing a pawn, right? But in this case, we can simply take back and we're fine. And I like the fact that white captured here right away because it immediately opens up my bishop. There's no chance of me walking into a pin on my knight. And so personally, I don't think that that's, if I'm playing this as white, I don't think I would give up my bishop in that situation. But so let's see, we have two bishops to develop. So I'm going to think through now, which one do I want to develop first? So bishop g4 is an option. Bishop c5, bishop d6, bishop e7. Really, any bishop move here for this guy could be playable. I'm also thinking about this knight, and if, let's just say my opponent castles, maybe I want to try to do something on the king side, so which one would make sense? The thing about bishop to g4 is that white might play h3, and then if I'm going to go back, g4 is going to happen, and guess what? I just lost my bishop. It's trapped. I can't go back. So if I'm going to play bishop g4 after h3, I have to either be willing to go back and say, okay, I probably wasted a move there, or trade it for the knight, which I don't really think I want to do. So with that in mind, I think I can rule out that move. Now we do have bishop e6. Bishop d7 probably not going to play because it blocks my queen, kind of cramps my position a little bit. So bishop to e6, or maybe just this guy. And I think I will go ahead and get ready to castle kingside. So I think with all that being said, I'm going to play this bishop. And I'm just going to keep it simple and go to bishop c5. I don't exactly know which one is the best square for it, but this one seems very logical, and so I will do that. Okay, so our opponent castles, and let's go ahead and castle as well. Get the king out of the center. And next, we'll probably start thinking about this guy again. All right, a3, I want to ask myself, why did my opponent play that? Don't really see a whole lot happening there. Yeah, they could play b4 if they want. I'm probably just going to go back. If I really want to, I could play a move like a5 to stop that. Or I could just finish my development. So just kind of thinking through that a little bit. Bishop g4. I like the idea that I could play knight to h4 and just pile up here. The only issue is, again, this h3 move. And if I go back g4, do I have any way to follow up there is what I'm looking at. Because white would be really opening up their king. Don't think it's really worth giving up a piece, so I'm probably not going to do that. If I play bishop e6, I am going to ask myself the question, what happens on knight to g5? Because I don't really want to give up my bishop for that knight. I'd probably have to just go back. And then maybe queen h5 happens, and it just kind of seems like white's getting a lot of free moves to attack my king side. So because of that, that's why I'm kind of hesitating here before playing this. So there's a couple of ways we could do this. We could play like h6 just to kind of stop that, get ready to play bishop e6. Or we could find a different move to play. So what other moves do we have? That's what I'm kind of thinking through here. So, all right, with that in mind, maybe I will just play a5 because I'm kind of not sure what I want to do with the bishop situation yet. And so a5 does seem like, okay, it gives my bishop a place to go back to, kind of stops what white maybe was trying to do. And I just kind of want to see, what is white going to do? Okay, they do go hunting for my bishop. So I think I'm probably just going to go back, probably here, but also go back here. The issue with this move is it's kind of just hitting this pawn. I don't like quite as much. But yeah, we'll just go ahead and retreat to a7. I don't think there's any reason to overthink it, that decision. Just save the bishop. All right, so b4, interesting move there. And I'm actually wondering, whenever you see pieces lined up, you want to ask yourself if there's a tactic available. So that's what I'm thinking through right now. So for example, if I take and take, I could sacrifice here and play b5. And if the knight moves, I'm going to win this rook in the corner. It looks like I would get my piece back and maybe win a pawn in the process. Also the idea of takes, takes, and maybe going bishop to d4, trying to sort of attack this way. Now on bishop d4, I don't know what would white do. c3 maybe? Or knight takes. Looks like it's good enough. So yeah, maybe I could take here. Is that really the best that I have in this position? I don't know. Definitely tempting though. So trade here, check, b5. The idea is I'm going to win my pawn back, although maybe not because c3 actually defends. It's just a big trade, and really that's not a trade that I probably want to make. So maybe I don't do that right now. Other thing that I'm looking at is I could play a move like b5, and if the knight goes back, I play a4 and just kind of expand on the queen side. I don't want to overthink it, so I am going to start to kind of dial in on a decision here. And, oh, you know what? Maybe I just play b5 first. But there is knight to c5. Yeah, knight to c5, because then my rook might actually get into trouble. So it's an interesting position. I'll go ahead and play b5. Couldn't quite find a way to make the tactic work. So I'm going to just have to make a move here. And probably you could argue I spent too much time. They had 2 minutes. That's a long time to think through that. Ideally, when you're not commentating on the game, you would want to think through quickly, see if it works. If not, move on and don't beat yourself up if you can't find it, right? Like just make a decision and go on with the game. Okay, so now I wonder though, takes, check here, and we can snag the rook. So now it looks much more simple, and it does look like I can win some material. So I'm just verifying, and I don't see a way for white to stop that. You can see whenever you have pieces lined up, even if there's like 1, 2, 3 pieces in between, like in this case, it's very easy to make a couple of trades, and all of a sudden you've opened up a rook, right? And that's what we're seeing here. If white recaptures, we have bishop takes f2 check. And I think that's why white is pausing now. Maybe they're realizing what's about to happen. But if they don't take it, I mean, then I just got a free pawn. So either way you look at it, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, they do take. And so here we go. I don't see any dangers after that. My rook looks fine over there. So I'm giving up a bishop, but I'm going to be getting a rook and a pawn. Very good trade. Oh, I'll take that. I also have a pin here, which is very nice. And so feeling pretty good about the position. So at this point, bishop g4 now looks like a move that I will definitely play next. And of course, I'm happy to trade now that I'm ahead some material. I guess even f5 could be an idea. One thing I like to do when I'm down on time and my opponent is thinking, I like to kind of think of ideas so that I'm not just totally starting from scratch when it's my move. So like I said, bishop g4, f5. See if I can find a couple other ideas. Maybe jump the knight into here. Queen to d2, so he gets out of the pin. Well, he gets out of one pin. It's still pinned there. Okay. So I am thinking about f5. There's no longer a pin here. I could still go there, but maybe f5. The point is I want to open up this rook. I think I like the look of that. Normally you have to be careful of the diagonal, but in this case, it looks fine. So let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and play f5. Trying to activate as many pieces as we can here. Okay, so what do we want to do? Bishop or rook? Thinking just the bishop. It does need to get developed. Let's go ahead and do that. Rook's kind of already on a good square here, lining up here. All right, so not super concerned with that. Yes, the bishop maybe can move, but a trade would be fine. What happens if we play e4 here? Looks like I'm just losing a pawn. Probably don't want to do that. Knight to h4, potentially offering a trade. Might lose this pawn. There is a check. Queen would block. All right, so maybe I don't want to do that. Bishop g4. Looks like it's going to force some trades. That maybe seems like the best. Well, let's play bishop g4. So I kind of, I checked a couple of different options. Didn't see anything that I loved about, knight to h4. And I think this is a simple way to trade some pieces. Keeping an eye on the time. 2.5 minutes is still plenty right now. But, when I hit that 2-minute mark, that's kind of where I'm like, all right, now we gotta speed it up a little bit. All right, so I'm looking, what is that threaten? Don't see anything immediate. Everything seems to be kind of covered. This, okay, I have to watch out for this diagonal, but right now, queen can't go there. And so I think what I'm going to do is go ahead and simplify the position a little bit. We'll get some of these trades happening. And like I said, the reason that I'm happy to trade is because I'm ahead. I have the rook for the bishop, which is a good trade. All right, so this square looks very nice. So does this one. Lots of moves here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 moves jumping out at me. Question is, how does white defend this pawn if I go there? Knight to g5, we chase it away. f4, we would just trade some more stuff. Very difficult threat to deal with. So with that in mind, I am going to play knight to h4 and attack it. Normally in this position, I'd probably play a move like knight f4, but just the immediate threat looks very difficult for white to deal with. So I think I am going to do that. And keep in mind, this bishop is also being attacked over here. So if a move like queen e3 happens, there might be some kind of a tactic like this. It looks like there is, where I could snag the bishop at the end of it. So I am below that 2-minute mark, so I am going to try to play a little bit faster, but I'm getting the sense that the game's about to be over. So it's a balance. You want to play quickly and not lose on time. You also want to play accurately, because the game might be over here in just a second, right? All right, so that doesn't really deal with the threat. So I think we just take this. I mean, yeah, there's a counter threat here, but I'm not concerned with that. Just checking to make sure there's no crazy tactics, but looks okay. And now we have 2 rooks for the knight and the bishop, and white's king is exposed. So I'm looking for how can I activate my queen here, potentially get at white's king. So maybe queen to f6 looks pretty good just to defend that way. Kind of just scanning for, threats to my king that I have to watch out for, but the queen can't really, like I said, get on any of these diagonals or files, or ranks, I should say. And the knight, yes, it can attack my queen, but I'm going to have time to move. And so maybe we just go here. The nice thing about this move, which is kind of important, is it transfers the queen to a white diagonal. And so a move like queen h3 now becomes possible. Queen h3, queen g4. So here's a situation where I'm just going to go back. I was actually debating trading everything off. And I am going to keep an eye on that time. And that's kind of a default move that I have here. I could force this trade, snag the bishop at the end. I'm just not sure if it's quite enough material to do that. The knight still is kind of tricky, so maybe I won't do that just yet. I'm thinking about h5, h4. I'm thinking about actually bringing this rook back around this way. Could be an idea, although I don't mind it over here. It's kind of annoying, that bishop. So we'll see what white is going to do. All right, so I'm going to come in now. I think this looks pretty good. We have the threat on the bishop. We also have checkmate. And not easy for white to say. I guess they have knight g5, now that I'm looking at it. I guess knight to g5 is a move. Okay, so they didn't deal with the checkmate. So there we go. And I know, it looks like, oh, 40 seconds, I'm about to lose on time. But you have to also realize if there's about to be a checkmate, you have to play carefully. You have to play, accurately. So let's very quickly look at the game review here. See how we did. 94. Okay, so not too bad. We did have a miss. And turn this off. Yeah, I remember what I said here about giving up that bishop voluntarily just kind of made my life easy, right? So I was pretty happy to see that. Then we just developed. And yeah, we did miss a tactic here. So I'm going to turn on the analysis. What was the move? So basically the engine just says just develop a piece and just kind of leave that alone was what it wanted to see. Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess right here, if white plays knight to c5, it's a much better position for white. Let's just say I took this and the game goes on, but it's relatively equal. All right, so 1295. Let's play one more game. And then we should be at 1300. So here we go. New game. And maybe I should read some chat here. Any openings that were requested? I don't see too many. So I'm going to stick with the kind of normal stuff here. And we are going to see a Caro-Kann. So I have a trap that I teach in my course, and I'm going to try to go for it now. So we're going to see if we see this. This is pretty common. And now what I'm going to do is play the move bishop c4. This is a weird gambit. And the point is black has to be careful with some tricks along this diagonal. And so we're going to pair this move with f3. So we're essentially losing a pawn here. But what we're doing is opening up the f-file. And you're going to see why that's important. Okay, and this was the trap. This is the exact trap. And our opponent falls right into it. So it looks like a pin. But it's not. Because we have a clever move. So if you guys want to take a minute, what's the best move here for white? There's actually two good moves. See if you can find it. And then I will play one of them. Yep, and everybody is saying it. So there's two moves. You could play 95, you could play bishop takes f7. They both have the same idea. Now this one is cool if black goes for it, because we'll get the quick checkmate. But it doesn't actually force the game to end immediately because bishop to e6. This is black's only way to kind of stay in the game. Only move here. If they play anything else, the game's basically over. But they can prolong it. Now, it's still not good for black because when we recapture, they have to take back with their pawn. Okay, they go for the queen. Oh, there you go. That's checkmate. So that was an 8-move win. And, the other thing, they could go back here. We simply take it with the queen. And when they capture, we also get checkmate. And like some people mentioned, instead of knight to e5, you could also play bishop takes f7. Then you jump in, and then you take this guy over here. And at the end of everything, you win a pawn, as well as black's king is exposed. So nice little trap there. Happens a ton. It's super common. And I think the reason is, in most of the Caro-Kann lines, bishop g4 is a common move. And unless you're playing this weird gambit that I played, it's totally fine, right? But in this case, it doesn't work. So anyway, black could have played, like I said, bishop e6, and the game would have went on. It's still very unpleasant for black because you can't develop your bishop because the pawn's in the way. You have to play like g6 and try to survive like that. But anyway, that puts us over 1300, 1303. Can you play the Vienna sometime? All right. Yes, I will try to play the Vienna if we can. Let's play one last game. And we're white. So let's see if we can play the Vienna. So we'll go ahead, play knight to c3. Now I have to... I assume you mean maybe the Vienna Gambit, or do you just mean the Vienna? Now we'll just play the regular Vienna. Let's see what happens. I think it's bishop c4, right? Is this the Vienna? I don't actually know this, so I'm kind of just... Can we play f4 right here? Actually, wait a second. This is... I think this move is a mistake. And I think it has to do with queen to g4. Yeah, I think I've done a video on this, actually. Queen to g4, and basically it's not easy for black to deal with this threat, is what it comes down to. Yeah, this is actually... I think we're about to see another trap here, guys. So it looks like black is okay. They defend, they threaten checkmate, except it's not checkmate, which is kind of the important thing. And we can sidestep and be fine. So I think what we do here is play knight to d5. And we attack the queen, and we also go for a fork. And it looks scary, but once we sidestep, we're totally fine. And that's why this is a super common trap. So yeah, I'm just verifying that this is the same position that I'm thinking of. But yeah, I'm like 99% sure it is. So here we go. Jump in with the knight. And let's sidestep with the king. And it's important that this bishop is here guarding the square. We would just get checkmated, right? So that's important. Okay. King to f8. Interesting move. So there's another thing that happens here, and I think what we're going to do is play knight to h3 to attack the queen. And a lot of times what happens is the queen has to go here, and you can actually trap it. So that's one thing that I'm thinking about. There is this discovered attack here, so we have to kind of keep an eye on that. But I think we can safely throw in knight to h3. And, you know, in these types of positions where both kings are exposed, where it's very tactical, very dangerous, some of the best moves that you can play are these moves that you can do with tempo, because every move counts in these positions. This is not like a slow, you know, positional game where you can just kind of take your time and maneuver your pieces around. You have to be very, very accurate. So a move like knight to h3 seems like it's very powerful. So let's go ahead and play that. And my opponent is sending me lots of sleepy emojis because I'm playing so slowly. h5. This actually might be one of the good moves in this position. I think it is. It's like it's a hard move to find, but it's actually decently, because if I take, we just kind of get a big trade. So I'm trying to think, what am I supposed to play against this? I don't actually... Is it queen g5? Maybe it's queen g5. Yeah, queen g5 is probably a good move, right? Because then we get out of the discovered attack. Queen still has to move somewhere. So I think that's what we play. I'm trying to remember as much as I am think, because this is a line that I've studied before. I'm not remembering it all. I think it might be queen g5 though. So let's see. Yeah, I think that's okay to play. So let's play queen g5. And I guess our opponent has studied this before, maybe, because h5 kind of caught me off guard, honestly. That tells me that either my opponent has studied this a little bit, or I don't know, they maybe got a little lucky or something. But oh, my opponent's reporting me for cheating right now. They're telling me right now. Reported. Okay. I guess they didn't check if it was a speedrun account. Told them I'm live, so maybe they're gonna go find the stream now. Does that put me at a disadvantage? All right, well, I guess black has to move the queen or counterattack or something. I'm expecting maybe queen d4. I don't know what other moves they have. f6 maybe is a move, but I don't know if it's a good move. I have a bad feeling about f6. I have a bad feeling about f6. He said I won the last 20 games with 90 plus accuracy. I reported you will be blocked soon. Okay. My account's getting banned, guys. I don't know if our opponent's going to play anymore. I'm not sure. I think he's just checking all my past games right now, so. All right, so we do see queen d4. And I believe we have to play d3 here. Because we need to defend our bishop. Bishop e7, so the queen gets attacked. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good move too. So probably what I'm going to do is just trade this off and then think about bringing the rook over here to start trying to attack this way. What else could I play? Yeah, I think that makes sense. So let's take it here and jump the rook over to f1 and use that open file to attack the king here. Couple of things that we have to keep an eye on is this bishop here. It could swing out to g4. It could be a very annoying move for us at some point. I'm going to keep an eye on that. But right now I'm threatening this. Yeah, maybe, okay, f6 is played. So what happens if we take it is my question. Takes with a check. We've got the rook hanging. That looks like a very nice tactic if I'm not mistaken. So let's just verify. Basically, after the trade, if the king goes here, we just take the rook, right? Yeah, that looks pretty good to me. So, and the king can't go this way to defend because the bishop. So I think we just take this. And there we go with the fork. So the king has to go over here. And I'm just debating if I want to throw in this move first. I don't think so. I think we can just take the rook. And then the knight's going to have to block. We get the knight as well. That looks pretty good. All right, so let's go ahead and take with the queen, just so that we can keep the pressure up with checks. I don't want to give black any time to do anything. Not that they really can, because we do have this covered with the knight. I think we're fine, but it's kind of good practice to just not give them any options. So bishop g5 would bring the bishop into the game. Black's king does have this move. What would we follow it up with? I think this is checkmate. No, the king can go here. That's almost checkmate, but the knight, then we take it. Okay, at least we're winning all the pieces. So let's play bishop g5. I'm trying to look if there's like a forced mate in a couple moves, but I'm just not quite seeing it. So I think we have to just go with this. And then the knight's going to block and we simply take it. So what I'm doing is like scanning for all the different forcing moves. So here, here, here. Those are the main ones that are coming to my mind. I don't actually have to play all of those moves. I could play a slow move like c3 even. Because of this, all of these are covered actually. But this one's pretty, straightforward. We go check. The knight has to block. We take it. King goes here. Still don't see a checkmate. But I guess it's good enough. All right, so we'll go with queen f8. So knight to e7 only move. And take with the queen. And now actually might be the time when I want to throw in c3 to force the queen to go back. We could go check. King goes over. But if I play check, then I can't play c3 because I would lose this pawn. Also go check here, but then it allows this. Play the queen back right away. That's an idea as well. I don't know. I think we'll just play c3. That seems like the simplest thing. Kicks the queen out of there. And even if we have to trade, we're up so many pieces that would be an easy endgame to win. So and the other thing about this move is it stops the queen from capturing this, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. Kind of gives my king a nice place to go to if I want. I can just tuck it over here. Not that I really need to, but it is an option. Probably these are the only two moves here for black. I guess you could play queen c5 as well. Yeah, I guess any of those would be fine. So I'm looking for checkmate. If there's one that pops up, but I'm also just thinking like, hey, if I have to trade, I have 2 extra pieces. So trading is totally fine. I'm just letting my opponent know they're going to get their points back, because not everybody knows that. So I would be annoyed too if I didn't realize that like I got my points back. I mean, even if you get your points back, it could be annoying, so I get it. I get it. So we will go after the game and check this opening, because it was one of the better lines for black. Like if you're gonna, allow queen g4, I think they actually played it decently. with this h5 idea. Most people don't find that move. I still think it's good for white, but it's kind of tricky, and I couldn't remember the exact line. So I'll be interested to see, you know, if I played correctly or what happened there. Very complicated position, but, you know, what it comes down to is that we just have a lot of threats, and it's hard for black to deal with everything. And even though they get a little check on our king, it's, you know, not much besides that. Yeah, I guess our opponent is just AFK or something. But yeah, the I think what black is supposed to do here is actually play knight to f6 first, and then you play bishop c5, and you avoid the queen g4 idea. But if they play bishop c5 right away, you can do this. And it only works when you have knight c3, bishop c4. You can't obviously have your knight on f3, or the queen can't go there. So I think some players as black get confused. Okay, we did get a resignation. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the game and see how did we play that correctly or what happened there. I'm actually curious because I don't know myself. 90, so pretty good. We did make a mistake. So let's see, what was the mistake? Where did that mistake happen? All right, so, oh, apparently this is a book line. Okay, I didn't realize that. Yeah, h5 is the best move. Okay, so our opponent did know that. And I guess this is actually playable. Eval Bar is saying it's slightly better for white, though. Queen g5, best move. Okay. d3, best move. Okay, so I guess we played... Ah, that was the kind of the big mistake there. Okay, let's see. What is the engine saying? So it's a second move. It's not a bad move. But it wanted us to just retreat. Queen d3, which I did think about. Yeah, just retreat. And then after the knight comes out, is it just going to be like c3 or something? Rook to f1. And then maybe c3. Yeah, okay. So this is kind of the setup. Even though we're down a pawn, our position is... It's easier to attack black's king than it is for black to attack our king. But yeah, that's kind of the idea. The other point I'll mention briefly is there are a lot of other moves that black could play here as well. Besides king f8, and they're just not very good. So like they could try to deal with this a different way. Maybe they, I don't know, do something like this, but then we go knight h3, we attack the queen, we have the rook coming over, and notice how many pieces we have that are kind of attacking the king. Also, this is a pretty serious threat as well. Some lines you can take that. And so, yeah, anyway, just keep in mind, if you do play the Vienna and you see bishop c5, just keep this queen g4 idea in the back of your mind. I have a bunch of videos where we talk about more details here. But anyway, thank you guys, and I will see you next time. Appreciate the super chat. Hope that hope that helped you guys. And yeah, take it easy.